All right, and we're back. Just did the UFC video. Now a little NASCAR talk with my guy Coop. We've been crushing it on the bet side in NASCAR all year long. Try to continue it today and tomorrow. Got the Xfinity race starting in a little bit. We got the Cup race in Atlanta. It is the Folds of Honor Quiktrip 500. And I got my boy Coop with me. What's going on, Coop?
Say that real quick 5 times, man. So some of these sponsor names are crazy, man. So, but Atlanta's a interesting racetrack. So I think a lot of it comes down to: do you trust history, or do you trust what's happening this particular season? Because history will tell you you jump all over Kevin Harvick. But when you look at his betting numbers, his history is, better, put into those numbers. Whereas his season numbers, don't want you to touch those numbers. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But I have one driver I'm pretty hyped about, and we'll go with him. But as far as the race goes, you'll see, like today in the trucks race, you didn't see one yellow flag other than the end of the stages or the competition caution, and that's typically how these races in Atlanta run out. Low attrition, and you're going to have a strong end of car run for these long runs, but. The one thing is in Atlanta, the best car doesn't always win. You get that late caution, and then it comes down to the cars that have the good short speed versus the long run speed. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out tomorrow, too. But, it should be a good race. You'll see a lot of passing. Pit teams will be heavily involved because there will be green flag pit stops, and then if there is a caution, they're going to pit right away because this track chews up them tires.
So before we get to this week, another week at Phoenix where I know Kevin Harvick finished, I think, sixth at the end of the day. But he just didn't look good all day, man. He looked like he was going backwards all day long, even though he finished sixth. And I know history says he's going to be really strong tomorrow, but I'm still disappointed in him overall this year so far. But Martin Truex Jr. gets the win. His cars looked really solid at times this year, especially in the long run. The last few weeks. He gets the W. Our guy Kyle Larson didn't get the win, but finished in the top 10. Still has the best Chevy, I think, on the track by a mile so far this year, better than Elliott. But yeah, just to recap last week, what were your thoughts on last week's race?
No, you're exactly right with Kevin Harvick. He started 17th or 18th. He got up into the top 10 pretty quickly. But once he got to that 6th, 7th, 8th position, he didn't have the speed of the top tier cars. So, is that going to happen again this week in Atlanta? He's been really good at Atlanta because he can take all four, or not all four, but the two left side tires, and he can paint them on that stripe. And that's what you got to do when you get to the turns in Atlanta. And then you're going to want to run it, mid-high to high the rest of the way around. So, will he be able to do that? And then, I saw an article earlier this week, where they changed the one of the things that they measure the rear tires with, and, it's different than what it was last year. And that possibly could be affecting all these Stewart-Haas cars as far as speed goes, because they had a big advantage evidently from that, and that advantage has dropped off, and they haven't been able to pick it up anywhere else. So, it could be another long week for Stewart-Haas, but that's the thing, and we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it makes it really hard in DFS because you got to get your lineups in before lock. But, you're either going to have to take that chance with Harvick and his team and see if they have speed or not. So, but, last week we went against Joey Logano. We came around during the race with him, and it paid off. Overall, last week was really, really another great week for us.
Yeah, I didn't get the two matchups home that I had picked on last week's video, but we ended up getting Truex at 6.5 to 1 on the show. We had the Truex top three at like plus 170 and the Logano top three at minus 130. But unfortunately, the two picks shit the bed on last week's show for me. But this
Right,
week,
but there was,
yeah,
but you were right close to it also because there was a way to get out to where, if Larson would have finished second and Logano third,
right,
everything would have hit perfect.
right,
So,
right.
I mean, it wasn't far off.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Yeah, but we've been crushing it, man.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
all right. So let's talk about this week. You and I were talking earlier in the week, and you said to me, maybe we should go right back to fading Joey Logano here. So, what do you think about Joey Logano this week? I think the two best Fords in the race should be Keselowski and Harvick. If I had to guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Logano isn't a good long run driver. He might get out to the beginning. He's starting third, but I would look for him to fade off, once we get 20, 30, 40 laps on these cars. Tires. So Logano, I think, is somebody who we can pick on. He's matched up against boy Kyle Busch, and Kyle's getting the good numbers. So I don't think I'm going to go that way. I might. We'll have to wait and see. But it does have some interest for me because Kyle hasn't had great speed, but he gets better as the race goes on, and I do think he's a better long run driver than Joey Logano. And him and his crew chief sort of kind of meshed really well at Homestead, which is a similar track, and he finished very good there. So I don't think he's going to get up there and maybe lead laps. That would be surprising for me, but I definitely could see him beating Joey Logano.
Gun to your head on Saturday afternoon. Who do you think wins the race tomorrow?
Kyle Larson.
Yeah, me too, bro. I think he's got the best car. Now, I do think that Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. have probably had the second and third best car so far this year. But Kyle Larson is so far, by far, the best Hendricks car. I think you can even make the argument that Will Byron has looked better than Chase Elliott this year.
There's two drivers that I'm going to keep my eye on very early in this race, and if they show some promise, I might live bet them because I know their odds are going to be in that 16 to 25 range, and William Byron's one of them. He absolutely was a monster at Homestead, and the thing with Byron at Homestead is he had good short run speed and he had good long run speed, and that's a rare combination to have. So I'm going to keep my eye on him very quickly, and then there's another driver I'm going to keep my eye on quite quickly at the beginning of the race tomorrow too.
Now, I agree with you. I'm not going to give it out as an official play, but I do think that so far Kyle Larson's the best car on the track. I think that he would be my pick to win this race, but we have seen in a matter of 2 weeks his odds basically every race go from 10 to 1, and now he's 7 to 1. And at 7 to 1, like I struggle to get there to take him at 7.
I said this at the beginning of the year. Kyle Larson is the one driver I was most interested in watching at the beginning of the year because he had a lot to prove coming off of his issue with the comments and not being able to race last year, and then he was also in a much better equipment than what he has been in his previous career.
Right.
And the other piece on top of that, these tracks at the beginning of the year set up extremely well for Kyle Larson. Once we get past the Bristol dirt race, might be a chance to jump off of Kyle Larson, because those tracks don't set up nearly as well for him. But what we've been going through, with these tracks, it's been like a perfect recipe for Kyle Larson so far.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And aside from how Chase Elliott has looked on the road course this year, he's been pretty disappointing so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, none of these drivers, other than, to my mind, Larson, and if I had to rank the top three as far as speed goes, and not necessarily results, but pure speed, it would be Larson, William Byron, and then Denny Hamlin.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue that. Will Byron's car has looked really good this year. I do think that Martin Truex has been so impressive on long run speed this year. He's been killing it.
The other interesting piece, I don't know if how many people watch the truck race, but they have this cone rule on restarts, where you pick the top line or the bottom line. And, that's an effect for tomorrow. And this is one of the races where it really comes into play. Because if you watch the truck race, obviously the leader took the bottom lane, because the bottom lane, gives you a lot more grip at the very beginning. But the second place, the third place, the fourth place cars all gave up track position to get that bottom lane typically. So you usually don't see that, and that's going to really shake things up as far as track position goes tomorrow. Because if you choose that outside, you're going to fall back, but you might be able to gain from 8th to 4th, somewhere in that ballpark, and then if you can get to the bottom, it'll be a big advantage for you. So I think that is going to be a lot more in play than what we typically see.
Do you think this week we finally see Kevin Harvick at least contend for the win, given how automatic he's been on this track?
I come into last week at Phoenix and I said, off of the Homestead, where if he doesn't have the speed, it's a race that he can still, do very well at, because he knows the spots that he needs to hit at and so on and so forth. But like I said earlier, he just plateaued at 6th, 7th, and 8th place last week. So that very well could happen again, this week. It's just all going to matter, if they find that speed in their cars for Stewart Haas. And, that's just a chance that you're going to have to take. Obviously, if you're getting it live, you're going to have a much better opportunity to see. But, I'm not going to touch his numbers because his history is baked into those numbers versus what his actual results are this year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that you just said. But one of these weeks, he's going to just romp the field.
Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I talked to you at the beginning of the year about.
Come on, Coop. This is not a Jimmy Johnson. This is not a Jimmy Johnson hitting the wall thing. Like Jimmy clearly shit the bed when Chad Knaus left.
Yeah, but I mean, Jimmy was a 7-time champion, and he just hit the wall, and he hit it hard.
Yeah,
not as good as Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I don't care what you say, but his wall might have been hit, man, and he might be hitting it right now. You never know.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Even Truex, man, last week, man, I wasn't high on Martin Truex, and I honestly consider, we had Mike McDowell win, we had Christopher Bell win, then we had Byron win, and then whoever won the other race, I can't remember. But it wasn't a big, one of the big studs, so to say. And I don't even think Martin Truex winning last week was called for, because it wasn't a very good track for him, over his career. And he fell behind at the beginning of that race tremendously, and he tapped that wall. And I don't know if him hitting that wall had something to do that made his car that much better. But after he hit that wall, man, he was a rocket.
Well,
And if
I
he never hit
also
that wall, he might not have. I don't know what happened, but something changed drastically in that car, and he just became a rocket ship.
think that, as good as his long run speed has been this year, his short run speed has been abysmal. It's been so bad. But he's got the best car on the track by a mile in terms of on the long run. Now what this race comes down to, I would think for him is, are we going to see really long green flag runs, or is this going to be one of the races where we have 5 cautions in the last 25 laps?
Well, if you look at what has happened here recently, the truck races start out the weekend, and you typically see, 5, 6, 7, 8 cautions in these truck races. You didn't see a darn caution today.
Yeah.
And if that lends to the same track, or to what we'll see tomorrow in the NASCAR Cup Series, we might not see very many cautions other than the competition caution and then the stage cautions. So yeah, it would lend to a lot of long green flag runs,
Which is good for him.
Which is good for him, but I think it's better for a couple other drivers, that I haven't mentioned yet.
I think it's good for Kyle Larson too. He's looked really solid on the long run also.
Yeah. But there's one guy I'm really high on tomorrow.
All right, so let's get to some picks. I'll start, and I'm going to say I like Denny Hamlin at -110 in the matchup against Chase. I got to see Chase run better this year before. I mean, when you're talking about a price like -110, which is not that bad considering how good Denny Hamlin has run this year. Like you said, he was in your top 3 cars for pure speed, and he would be in my top 3 also. I think at -110, that's not a horrible price against Chase Elliott here. Hamlin last 3 years, he's been in the top 5 twice, been in the top 10, I think, all 3 times. Chase has kind of struggled, has not been in the top 5 at this track the last 3 years. I think that Denny Hamlin at -110, I'm comfortable enough at that price point, if you can get that, where I will take the shot. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to make the spreadsheet. I still gotta go and do a little more research. But for the purposes of the show, I'm going to say give me Denny Hamlin over Chase Elliott. And if I was going to give a second pick out, it would be Kyle Larson to make the top 5 at +105. I think he's going to run well here again tomorrow. And I think he's got one of the 5 best cars on the track this year. So at +105, I don't hate it. I'll tell you that. So those would be my 2 picks. Nothing in terms of the race winner. Coop and I will be live betting the race winner tomorrow for anybody that's going to watch the show. And we'll probably get more into the groups tomorrow, more of the other props. But yeah, for here, give me Kyle Larson top 5 at +105. Give me Denny Hamlin over Chase tomorrow at -110. What do you think about that, Coop?
Oh, excellent. Kyle Larson was the one that I was going to call out. I think it's even money on DraftKings. He gets a top 3. So that's very good. 2 that I'm thinking about, I probably won't determine until tomorrow what I want to do with them. But on DraftKings, Best Finish Group D has Austin Dillon, Matt DiBenedetto, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Bubba Wallace. Matt DiBenedetto is horrible on these tire wear management tracks. He showed it in Homestead, and he doesn't have a top 20 here in Atlanta. Bubba Wallace, unless he's on a pure speed track, He struggles on these specialty tracks, whether it be a road course or high tire wear management. Austin Dillon, he's solid. But Ricky Stenhouse has been really, really good and been solid on these tracks that require management. He's getting a plus 280 against those three drivers. So that's something I want to look at too. I mentioned earlier about Logano and Kyle Busch. I'm interested in taking Kyle Busch at minus 107. But the two that I was going to call out was the one that you called out earlier with Kyle Larson. The other one that I like also involves Kyle Larson, and I know you hate these stages, all right, and they don't be beneficial for us. But Kyle Larson's plus 225 to finish top three, not win, not second, but top three in the first stage. And I like his chances to finish top three in that first stage.
I'll tell you what, I know I say that, but I was looking at the stages before you came on with me. Real quick, Terlansky, we appreciate that comment, bro. We try to do the best that we can for you guys. And I know we'll see you tomorrow in the chat. So we very much appreciate that comment. Now, that being said, I was looking at the stage one winners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on who you and I think will run well tomorrow and where they're starting on the grid, I think that the stage one winner is going to either be Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, or Kevin Harvick. Now, Denny Hamlin's like 6-1. Kyle Larson's 8-1. Harvick is 7-1. Like if Kevin Harvick finally has the car, he's only starting in the third row. If he finally has the car, he could easily win stage one. We know how good Denny is. He's got the pole. He can easily win stage one. Kyle Larson's had the best car on the track this year. He could easily win stage one. I think that, 6, 7, and 8-1 starts to make me think like, maybe do we take a shot tomorrow on the live show? You know what I mean? So I was looking at it too.
Something to sleep on. But I think, I like the top three where you're not guaranteed into a winner with Kyle Larson there. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, make sure you jump in tomorrow on the live show because, if I can come through and win some Xfinity money tonight, I might take a portion of that and put it on this guy that I'm looking at tomorrow. And I'll talk about him tomorrow on the live show, but I'm really confident in one driver tomorrow.
Listen to Coop holding it back for the show tomorrow like a professional. You love it. You love to see it. All right, quickly before we go, Xfinity race starts in about 10 minutes. Martin Truex Jr. is down now to about plus 150. He opened up plus 180. Do you think that it's you take your chance on Truex because he probably will have the best car today, or do you think somebody like AJ Allmendinger coming off the win last week? Allmendinger won the race here. I don't know if it was last year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Allmendinger won the race here. Now, who's driving Christopher Bell's car today?
I think is it Harrison Burton is in his car?
Now, I'm not sure, but that car has in the last 2 years has one win, both times finished in the top 5. So, you would think that car is going to run well. Now, I know Marty's in the 54 car. He's in the Gibbs kids car. I know Allmendinger, looked great last week, won this race last year. What do you think? Do you think you bet somebody to beat Martin Truex Jr., or do you think you just take the shot on the best driver in the field?
Yeah, Harrison Burton is starting 5th, and he was in the 20 car, which is what Christopher Bell's car last year, correct?
That's a good car. Yeah, that's a good car.
So, pre-race, I can't bet any of them people because people like AJ Allmendinger. I mean, I can't bet Cindric or Truex because of drivers like Allmendinger, and then you're bringing up Harrison Burton too. I think there's 4 or 5 drivers that are probably going to win this race between Cindric, Harrison Burton, Allmendinger, Truex.
Cindric never ran this race, right? Like I didn't see him. Oh yeah, he did. He ran this race three times, no wins, no top 5s, and he finished in the top 10 twice. So he has not been great here.
Right. If I was going to lay money pre-race, it would be Allmendinger.
Me too. Yeah.
They're getting pretty good odds right there. The guy's on a roll. Color racing is getting better on the 1.5-mile tracks as we speak every week. So that team right there really wants to get into Cup next year. And I think they're showing themselves that they're very well deserving of a Cup ride next year.
I think 6.5 to 1 on a guy that has some momentum behind him after last week, has won here before. 6.5 to 1's not a bad price. And I also don't mind Allmendinger plus 185 to finish in the top 3. I think he's got a great chance to finish in the top 3.
Yep. But again, it all just depends upon if we get that caution at the end of the race or not. And then that's why I said this race, you want to see who has that good short run speed. So if that scenario happens, you have an idea of who you want to bet at the end of the race, because the short run speed is definitely different than the drivers who are going to have the good long run speed.
All right, so that's it, boys. We'll be live tomorrow. I'm going to be live for Rum Pure subscribers all night long, starting in a few minutes. For subs, the link is on the spreadsheet. It's in the Discord. Anybody that wants to come join, come and hang out. Coop, did you give out a pick, or is your pick in agreement with me? Kyle Larson, top 5.
I agree with that one, and also the stage 1 top 3, Kyle Larson.
Okay. I like it. All right. So Coop's got Larson stage 1 top 3 plus 225. I'm going to take the shot with Denny Hamlin at minus 110 over Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson to finish in the top 5 at plus 105. Aside from that, we will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on your bets today. We hope your action runs pure. And I'll see subscribers in about 10 minutes. Peace.